Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to cover the design principle of contrast. Thank you for stopping by my channel. My name is Thayne and I'm a filmmaker, photographer, and educator. Please subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and share this video with those who are interested in the arts. So let's talk about the design principle of contrast. So when I say contrast, what I mean is the opposite of things. For example, the opposite of value, color, saturation, shape, texture, pattern, or size. Big versus small, dark versus light, saturated versus desaturated. So let's jump right into the examples. Value is a measurement of relative lightness and darkness. So in this example, we have 5 different shapes ranging in different values. So looking up at the top left, we have a star there. Out of these 5 shapes, which one has the greatest contrast? Well, of course, the square, since it is the brightest one out of all of them against a very dark background. In this example, we have contrast in color. So let's take a look at these 2 sets of squares. The one here on the left, we have a red and a green. And then on the right, we have the blue and the orange. Now, both of these sets are opposite of each other. So green is the opposite of red. And so what we call that is a complement. So if we're choosing a complement of blue, we would choose orange. So both of these sets here are opposites or in contrast to the other. Now I've added something additional in here. I have added in the middle of each of these a 50% gray square. And if you look really closely at, say, just one of the colors, the square begins to take on the appearance of its complement, green. This is called a simultaneous color contrast. In this example, we have again the same set of colors, but this time the center boxes are the same color as the outer box. They are desaturated, probably around 60%. So looking over here at the red and green boxes, you can see that there is a difference between the two. One is clearly very saturated and the other one is desaturated. If we go over to the other set, I have swapped the boxes. So the blue box, we have the smaller box is actually orange and again desaturated 80%. And then the orange has the blue box in the center, is desaturated again probably around 60%. And it's kind of interesting as you look at these two really kind of pop out a lot more than the other set with the red and the green box. At this point, how do you feel about the principle of contrast? Is it making sense? As you can see here, this is a very simple design. Everything in the background is a dark value and is very square, rectangle-ish. And you compare that to the circle, which is a very light value, and it's the only circle in the whole piece. That is the contrast in shape. In this example of contrast with texture, we have this very basic background of geometric shapes of varying values, and in that hotspot we have a square with texture. The square is definitely similar to all the other geometric shapes in the background, just that this one has texture and has the strongest contrast in value. We can see in the shadow side of the texture it's black, and on the light side it's white, and you don't see that anywhere else. So how this becomes a focal point through contrast is that this is the only place where the texture is at, and it's also in the key spot or in the hot spot and has the greatest contrast in value. In this example, we see the same type of basic background of rectangles of varying value, but in the key spot right there, or you might even want to say the hot spot, is square pattern. And this pattern also has the greatest contrast in value. So we have a very dark gray next to a brilliant white, and you don't see that white anywhere else on this particular example. So here is another example of contrast, but this time in pattern. In this final example, we have a very basic background with, again, geometric shapes, different values. There is one tiny square. It's the smallest square out of all the other shapes, and it is also the lightest, and it also resides on a third. Now, you can debate that possibly the larger rectangle behind it, and you could say, well, that's a focal point, but your eye naturally is drawn to that small white square. Take a moment and look at it. Tell me what you think. Let me know if this video was useful by giving me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and share this video with others. Please check out my videos on the other design principles, and have a great day. Hi. Welcome to my I forgot the glasses. Ring the bell. Oh, no. What am I saying? That sounded really dumb.